quiet mode access list we'll hit later. And now we can see this has, it's enabled to watch for login attacks. So that's saying, login blocking is enabled. And we've got it here in pretty clear English that if there's more than 3 login failures within 60 seconds or less, logins will be disabled for 30 seconds. And that's what we just configured. You can see that we are in normal mode, which means that there hasn't been 3 login failures within 60 seconds or less. Time remaining in the current window. So this 60 seconds is actually, it's a window. So every 60 seconds it's going to go ahead and renew itself, which makes sense. And this just tells you how many seconds are left in that window. No failures for this window, and then total login failures. So these numbers could be different, and generally will be. So if you had 50 failures over the time that this router's been up, it's going to say 50 here, but this will just tell you the number of login failures for the current window, which is what we're looking at here. So you could have 2 within the current window and we never go into quiet mode, but you hit 3 or more, and we're going to go ahead and start circling the wagons and getting very selective about whom we allow to log into our router. While we're here, I'm going to go ahead and issue another do command. Remember before we started this configuration, we issued this as well. We wanted to see what access lists were configured on the router, and there were none. So let's see if that's still the case. No, it's not. So if you looked at the theory video, we went through Mr. SL_DEF_ACL quite a bit. Basically, this is how login blocking does its magic. So the iOS has now generated this IP access list, and you can see here that it's going to deny any telnet, HTTP, or SSH. TCP port 22 is SSH, or Shakira, not Shakira. It's Secure Shell Access. Oh, Secure Shell. Shit, I forgot my acronyms. Alright, let's go ahead and finish up our configuration. So we were asked to configure R2 so that 5 seconds must elapse between each login attempt. That is the login delay. And let's go ahead and just take a look at what we've got here. So we've used to block it. There's not that many commands in this for login. We've used block 4 already. That's our main one. That's all you really truly need to enable login blocking. We're going to use delay here. That's the delay between successful failed logins. Successive fail login. That's kind of confusing. And we will also be using these two in the next couple of minutes here. But we're going to hit set our delay for 5 seconds. And again, this is going to be redundant, but I always use a question mark when I'm configuring a parameter, because I just want to make sure, even if I've done it a million times, it's always good to make sure that you're inputting what you think you're inputting. So we're going to go with 5 seconds. And the other thing that we wanted to do was make sure that all successful and failed login attempts should be logged to R2. And that's going to be that on failure and on success. So login on failure. And you got, well, 3 options here, but really 2 and really 1. If you watch the theory video, you know that currently the traps is not working. So it's there, it's an option, but don't use it right now because it doesn't work. Cisco will remedy that in the future. So we wanted to log these anyways. So this is going to save it to the log. That's just going to give you a little more granularity here, where maybe you don't want every single login logged. Maybe you only want every 50, because you've got a ton of people logging into this, and you don't need to know every single one. You don't want your log getting filled up and losing maybe some information that you need for troubleshooting. But in our case, we're gonna go ahead and log everything. So go ahead on failure, on success. We've got those dudes configured. So now we've done everything that we needed for our example. Let's go ahead. Actually, we can just jump out of configuration mode and show login. And now we can see it's a little bit different than what we saw before. We've got our delay of 5 seconds applied, and all successful logins and failures are logged. Otherwise, this is exactly the same as what we saw earlier. Get used to this command. This is your big verification command that you'll be using. Get familiar with this output, because you could see that based on this output, you could tell what's configured on here. You should be able to take a look at this output and say, okay, well, I know that somebody must have configured a delay of 5 seconds because 1 second is a default. So login delay 5. I could see that, successful logins and failed logins are going to be logged locally. So that must have been enabled. And then we could see what our login block 4 parameters are based on the output of this show command. Just want to hit real quickly. I don't know if I made this abundantly clear, but that show that access list, boink, there, that good enough. This guy is created as soon as you issue the, sorry, I have a hard time talking and typing at the same time. As soon as you issue the login block 4 command. It doesn't exist up until that point, and then Cisco iOS goes ahead and creates it. I may have mentioned that, but I wanted to make sure that you understood where I was getting at that before I went into my Shakira diversion. Alright, enough of this jibba jabba. Let's go ahead and start generating some login attempts and see what we can see on R2 with our configuration. So let's telnet in. First thing I'm going to do is do bad user and anything for the password. You should notice it's going to take about 5 seconds here or more. It seemed like longer, but alright. The second attempt will be with Cisco Jim, and you won't be able to see me typing this, but I just typed garbage for the password. And now the third attempt. I will actually attempt to type this correctly. We should get in here. If I didn't fat finger anything. Looks like I did. Nope, I'm in. Okay. So we'll go ahead and log out of that. So we're on R1, telnetted to R2. Let's go ahead and log out so that we're back to R1 and take a look at what's going on R2. And as you can see, this is the logging that we had enabled. We wanted to enable logging for failed logins as well as successful logins. So the first two are going to be failed logins, and the difference to see here is, it says login failed. This is cool because it shows you the user, it shows you where that user is coming from, it shows you the port that user's using to access your VTY line. In this case, the user is sourcing from router 1, and we're telnetting rather than SSHing or HTTP. And this is cool. This is golden right here. The reason login attempt failed was bad user, which means bad username. So this guy doesn't exist. Remember, the only username that exists in our local username database is Cisco Jim. So it's pretty cool because it tells you why the user failed. Not just that he failed, but why he failed. And that can help you with troubleshooting. You get somebody that's trying to log into your router and say it's the NOC and they're supposed to be able to get on there and they're using the wrong username. Then you could say, hey, here's the reason that it's failing. You guys aren't using the username that I gave to you. You're using something completely different.